getting weird. I like it. Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to That Pedal Show. Dan here.
Mick here.
What's my name? I don't remember. I've been on tour too long. Hi, I'm Pete.
We have Pete Thorn with us today. Pete is in town with the Classic Rock Show, and we had to reach out and get him to come down and grace us. So, man, thank you so much for coming down. This is so cool.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so glad that you reached out. We haven't seen each other for it's that COVID time warp, but I think it was like at least 3 years.
Yeah.
Since the Toman event where we got together at Gear University, they called it, I think, and you and I made a video about delay pedals.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, tape delays, I think, which we were just, obviously, I had a healthy dose of delay going there.
We cranked the full Marshall stack, didn't we? I think.
Oh,
that was the other one.
That was the one before.
Yeah.
That was at the Warwick facility.
That's right.
That's what I was trying to remember. That's what I was trying to remember.
GitCon.
It was all Germany.
Yeah. But it was really funny because people were going in there with this crank Marshall stack and just going, "Oh my God!" And then Pete goes in and goes, "This is a Tuesday for me."
And now I've made you do it again with a loud Marshall in here, right? It's yeah, that was fun because it was like, I remember Marshall was exhibiting there at that event and they had a 100-watt SLP, just their standard reissue plexi head. And I said, "Excuse me, would you mind if I borrowed this for about an hour?" And I thought, when you're at those things, you're trying to come up with ideas on the spot to make videos really quickly. Sure. YouTube events like that. And I thought, I'll go down to that little room downstairs and grab that amp and plug it in. I'll just turn it on 10 and we'll get people, whoever comes by in the hallway, just go in and play the first thing that comes to mind, right? And it was so great to see everybody's different reactions. And both you guys played fantastic stuff too. There's a lot of comments on that video about, mixed tone or dance tone was the best, So it's like,
just a matter of if you're used to playing loud. Because Phil X was there as well. Yeah. And of course, that's where he lives. And he just goes in there and is like, "This is how you do this."
Yeah.
What?
Right.
It'll be a topic of discussion today because we're going to talk about Pete's current tour and what he's doing at the moment. We might do some historical stuff. We're going to talk about the board, the guitar, all kinds of things. But I think volume might be a good place to start because Pete arrived this morning. So you're currently in the Classic Rock Show, a touring show which celebrates classic rock.
Yeah.
And that goes on. You've got tons of dates, right, all over the UK?
It's about 40 dates, the tour this year. So, in the past it's been 30, 31. This time it's 40. So,
in the UK?
Only in the UK, yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah, 40 shows on this rock of the UK.
Actually, before we delve into that, if you don't know Pete and you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, please do, and we'll stick a link in below so you can go there. But this tour is about that. And I was kind of expecting, because it's a theatre show, right? And we know about volume in theatres and we know how that works. I was half expecting you to be here with a Helix or some sort of programmable digital thing, but then you turn up with a traditional pedal board and you're telling us that you have a Suhr Bella and a
SL68, Suhr with a 412, and A being the two. So we've kind of replicated that here with a dirty amp and clean amp.
So it's a volume show.
Yeah, we try and keep, this is my theory about it. And we were talking about this in the car on the way here and stuff, is that, first of all, guitar and an amp is an acoustic instrument. And I know you guys delve into this quite a bit, but that feedback loop between the guitar and the amp is so important to the way that I play guitar. And the way that, our favorite guitar players that we grew up listening to, right? Like when we take a Jimi Hendrix or something, it's like, had somebody said, "Turn that amp down." Oh, okay, sorry. Had he done that, he wouldn't have made the music he made because he played off the feedback and the connection with the amp so much. So that to me is just part of playing guitar and part of what I enjoy about it. And yes, in the show we do celebrate. I mean, there's a couple moments in the show where there's like 8-bar sections that go by where I just hold a note and let it feed back. I get right in front of the amp. I look at the monitor guy and he's giving me the dirty look. I'm like, "This is for you," because he's like, it's like an ice pick through the forehead. He's right
Here
behind
comes the ice pick through the forehead.
Yeah, but it's a great thing. I mean, it's like let's just start with that. I mean,
Perfect.
It's like. Why not?
I will be up and down turning the Marshall on and off because as Pete arrived, I said, "We've got a 50-watt Marshall. How do you want it set?" He's like this, please.
Oh, yeah. So we need it on now for this demonstration. But the good old, old days where we just used to do stuff like this. Sorry, Mick. You don't have any air
I
protection.
feel young again. I feel young again.
But how it evolves, the note changes, and
Yeah.
it's back, and it does this thing, and it's so fun to do that. And
I guess if you've never done that, because you're volume limited at home or whatever, but then had Pete got up and walked around the room, that note would change, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where you are. So you can play with that.
you can play with it, and the fun is to hit it and get it. And then it's not doing it. And then you move a little, and then there it is. And you're like, oh, and your face changes. And it's like you play off of it, and that's the fun part. And so certainly that's part of our show is I think that we celebrate that, certainly rock guitar legacy of. Now, that said, we can't get too crazy because we're in theaters. Sure. So it's like we limit it in certain ways. And as a matter of fact, yesterday we got some plexi panels to kind of array a little bit around the cabs. They're not completely covering them, but a little bit in the Joe Bonamassa style of how he does it. And then he can turn up his amps as loud as he wants and everybody's happy. The sound guy's happy. You don't have the beam. You don't have the, and it
works great. That stuff can work really well.
Have you ever tried those deflux things? Have you seen those?
Yes.
The deflex panels,
It's so funny looking, and you're like, how's this going to work? And you try it, and you're like, this is amazing. You put it under the front of a cabinet, and it kind of has this wavy plastic shape to it, and you're like, what's this going to do? The amazing thing is it takes the beam, and it just diffuses it. Yeah. You can stand off axis from the cabinet and be, 30% off to the side, and it's like, I can hear it perfectly, but it's not too loud. It's not beaming.
Yeah, there's a consistency to the tone around the room, which is really nice. Yeah, they're great.
Yeah. So we know we've got a crank Marshall sound then, and in addition to that, like a clean platform which you use your Suhr Bella for. Yeah. Today we've got a deluxe reverb standing in for that.
Yes.
Maybe you could just talk us through a few choice tones that you would use the 2 amps for.
Sure. So probably like the most basic. I mean, here's just a spring with some compression. So that's the H90 doing spring reverb. And I love the spring in the H90, actually. It's a great sound. I love the tail, like with the boing.
Yeah, right.
And the little bit of, the little... And the only other thing I've got on there is the Andy Woodshed compressor, which I love.
Oh, nice.
It's really transparent sounding. So that's probably the most basic use of how it sounds really similar, with the Deluxe to how I've got the Bella set, just for a clean kind of beautiful thing. And the reason for the 2 amps on this tour is you can't get that kind of that bloom and like the open back that kind of spreads around the room a little bit when you're playing clean, and it's just so, lovely. Different sounding than what the Marshall's doing.
Yeah, so, right.
Or in my case, the SL68. And then to that, I might add, we do the song Romeo and Juliet by Dire Straits. There's a beautiful solo at the end that I've kind of tried to expand on a little bit by adding more echo. And I just play
more echo on it.
Yeah, you like delay.
There's a t-shirt. Expect that in that pedal show store soon.
Exactly.
More echo.
More echo, please. So... do stuff like that in the tune towards the end of the tune. It's not really a solo, but it's more like just playing off we're all kind of jamming over the end, and I do that kind of thing. So that's all through the Deluxe, all just pedals in front. That's really just mainly this guy doing a black hole reverb
and this was doing the overdrive.
Yeah, let me see. I've actually, you know what I've actually got on there is, this is one of my favorite new pedals. The Unobtanium. So yes, I have compression on with a little bit of drive from the Unobtanium.
We haven't seen the Unobtanium yet. It's newish from Crazy Tube Circuits, and it's basically a Klon slamming into a Dumble.
Yeah. So let's check. I'll show you what it sounds like just on its own. So that's the Dumbly side. Just the Dumbly side. Talk about like a nice transparent kind of overdrive. It's almost like in the band mix, it almost sounds clean, you know?
Right.
It's interesting, you know, because whenever I listen to you play, if there's something that I would always say characterizes you, and I kind of know it's you, it's that clarity.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I don't know whether that's something you just tune into or it's something coming from the guitar or a combination of the above. But that even when you play with plenty of gain, you get that. You get the clarity and you get the string separation and the pick attack. And
Well, thanks.
is that...
And you play so in tune. It's so nice.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
I started on violin, so like tuning really drove me insane. Like if it was because my teacher and everything, they just beat it into me. Like it's got, because of course you got to intonate. So yeah. And this guitar with its bridge, you know, we can talk about the guitar or two in a bit, but it really stays in tune great. It's, you know, Wilkinson Bridge that is made by your countrymen here. And,
Yeah.
So I do like being in tune.
We'll talk about the guitar in a bit more depth in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that clarity, you can just really hear that coming through. And then in front of that, you've got the Klon bit, have you? Or...
I don't have it on right now, but I'll show you what that sounds like. So on its own. Healthy boost coming out of it. And so if I turn on the steel string singer sort of Dumbly side, I've got almost set for just a little bit over unity.
Yeah.
And then if I hit it with this, of course, it's going to be in front of it, so it's not going to get much louder. It's just going to drive it into... That's kind of that's a dark, warm thing right now, the way that that's set. But that's kind of what I use it for. Is the steel string singer side is set to almost be a thickener for something like the deluxe that has, you know, it's thinner mids, and so with the Bellamy, it'd be just like a bass clean tone. That's just like a thicker version of that to me that then I can clean up here. You want the note to have a little more body to it, you know, that's all you need really. And then I can hit it with the Klon if I want. But to be honest, the main thing I use the Klon side of the Unobtanium for is in front of the Marshall. So yeah,
have to hear it.
Do that again. Yeah, I'll show you the difference between when I'm playing lead and when I'm playing rhythm. So here's just this is just sort of my straight up Marshall-y drive. Right, that kind of thing. And then when I turn on the Klon side, gonna do that, you know. Oh, did you hit the thing? I like it.
No, I didn't.
Oh,
no, that was you.
I thought that was you.
Was you.
Hitting the, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Far out, man.
Couple of things I particularly love about that. One is driving that amp in that way, you get all these extra harmonics that start happening in the amp. So you start hearing a transformer, you start hearing all kinds of things to just give it more of that. What I always think is interesting about a Klon type boost into that sound, it's almost like a treble booster, but with all the bass back.
Yeah.
Right.
Because it's that upper mid, real honky nose that it's got on it,
Yeah.
but not, because certainly with that guitar and the way you were playing there, I was kind of hearing treble booster Marshall tones.
Sure.
You know,
But with the thud.
yeah, with
In
the
the
thumb.
bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Oh
Just
no!
tore off.
Oh, hang on. So it's so rock and roll.
God.
So rock and roll.
He's playing till his fingers bleed.
I just went, uh-oh, I feel it. Yeah. No, I literally did. I just ripped the hole in that last bend
Okay,
right there.
right. We will do a quick pause while we repair.
Check it out.
Because he
This
has.
is 5 days on the road and playing the Freebird solo every night. And it's like, I'm using this liquid glue on my finger right now to like keep
man.
it shut from like ripping open like it just did. But now
Okay.
today's going to be interesting.
Pete's got a show tonight, so we'll just do a quick pause and we'll repair it and see what happens next.
Oh my God.
Back in the room.
I got my first real 6-string. We can't actually sing or it'll get flagged at the 5 and I played it till my fingers bled.
Very good.
It
That's
was
the Gregorian chant version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you done any VO work?
No, but I want to.
You do
totally
have
should.
awesome voice.
I want to be the movie guy. In a land before time. That guy. You know?
Yeah, you could
trailer guy.
so do that.
There's more money in that than playing guitar. For sure. I need to start thinking about my future here.
It's the kind of 60 to 80 hertz thing that you've got going on. That's, yeah.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
One of these days.
VO guy.
I do know some people. A friend of mine, Eric Schimmerhorn, does that, and he got into it like legit. And he got into it a number of years ago, and he used to play guitar with Bowie. And,
Oh, wow.
I think it was. Yeah, he played with Bowie. He played with all kinds of people. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Was it Bowie or was it Iggy? I think he played with Bowie for a while, and I think he played with Iggy too. But anyway, Eric.
Do you do
voiceover guy.
podcasts from your show?
I don't, which is something
No,
I
you
should
totally
probably
should
do.
do.
Yeah.
And you just have on the car
Just
the
one of those
dulcet
things.
tones of your
Yeah.
voice.
You can
Beautiful.
read
Be
poetry
lovely.
in a sort of, is it ASMR? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, yeah,
A-
yeah. While brushing
that.
while brushing your hair.
Right. Crinkling paper.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Pete has, in the most rock and roll fashion possible, glued his finger back together.
I think it's cool now.
So we're gonna collectively urge him not to go crazy with the playing because he does have a show tonight, and we'd feel bad if he was bleeding all over the audience.
It happened last night. It started but I felt, ooh, that feels a little weird. And I looked down, I'm like, uh-oh, the cut's back. It's just because I went straight into rehearsals and then straight into doing, nonstop gigs, like with, sometimes 3 in a row, 4 in a row. And this is a 5 in the row stretch. Tonight will be show 5. So, and it's like, it's a 3-hour show. So it's like you play a lot.
man.
There's a lot of guitar playing. And
Yeah.
and it being colder here than LA and stuff, and just kind of your hands, everything dried out, and it was like, uh-oh. So this is a first, but
That's hard work on the vocalists as well, isn't it, for classic rock?
Yes, it is. The vocalists are amazing, and they really warm up and try and take care of their voices. But no matter what, 5 shows in, you're like a little, fragile. So it's just part of it. But you figure out, crazy glue. It's the way to go.
Yeah.
Well,
you don't do more than the feeling, do you?
We did last year.
Did you?
Yeah, we did it last year.
Hasn't that got the highest note sung by a male
human.
on record ever or something?
I don't know how he probably just falsettoed it or whatever. really last year. I can't
added a
remember,
bit
but-
of.
Yeah.
Oh no, there wasn't any digital trickery back then. So
no.
Yeah.
That was Tom Schultz. And they're going, yeah, for this bit, I'll slow the tape right down. I'll just put the hand on it. You track.
There you go. There you go.
yeah, analog pitch shifting. Okay, sorry, Daniel.
I was going to say, so speaking of vocalists,
Yeah.
I think it's worth touching on some of the amazing artists that you've performed with over the years. The list is extraordinary.
I'm super lucky to have gotten to play with some great singers. That is, I feel very fortunate
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you get called, so let's have a look at some of them. There was a picture of you recently on stage with
Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper,
Ah, yeah.
and he's doing his thing, full makeup. You're behind us going, Pete, on stage with Alice Cooper. That's really cool.
Yeah, that was a special gig. Yeah.
And
But Paul Rogers was there too, you were telling us.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was a unique gig because it was a benefit for an old theater in Palm Springs. And there's some folks that are friends of mine, primarily Brian Ray, who's a magnificent person and guitar player, been with Paul McCartney for many years.
Right.
And played with Etta James for many years before that. And he's just a heck of a guy, and he's got an amazing story. But anyway, he spends part of his time out there in Palm Springs now. And he got to know some of the other folks in the music community out there, like Matt Sorum, who was a drummer in Cult and Guns N' Roses. And they got involved in this benefit that is for an old theater out there that just was basically, becoming in state of disrepair, and I guess probably were they going to sell it? Were they going to tear it down? But it's a kind of a legendary old theater where I think they used to do a lot of like maybe movie premieres and things there where, because the folks from that desert kind of community out there, the Sinatras, like Nancy Sinatra would go there for, movie premieres or different things. That's as I understand it. So, the community wanted to keep this place going. So they've been raising money to refurbish this theater. And they got all these great folks involved. So one of them being Paul Rogers, who spends some of his time there, Alice Cooper, Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age, just some terrific performers that got involved in this. And Spike Edney was part of it as well, as works with Queen, and because he spent some time there. So all those folks got together and just basically put on this great eclectic show, this amazing night of music, all to benefit this theater. And so, we got to do this set with like Alice Cooper and Paul Rogers and Josh, and it was just like incredible. Orianthi came out and played as well and sang beautifully, and it was a heck of a night of music.
So you've actually played Schools Out with Alice Cooper then?
Yes. Yeah. In the same 45-minute period that I played Can't Get Enough with Paul Rogers. It was like, this gig rules right now. It was so much fun.
Get out.
Yeah.
And
Really
Pete
fun.
played us a little bit on his phone. There was a recording taken from the Paul Rogers bit. And what do you say? He's in his 70s, right?
Yeah.
Man, he is singing
Amazing. In
So
the
good.
same key as the original, and just nailing it.
No mucking about.
Amazing.
Yeah, we did Can't Get Enough and All Right Now, and I mean, all in the original keys. And he was just a lovely guy. He and his wife were super sweet. They rescue animals, and he was just a soft-spoken, like really just nice gentleman. And then he starts singing, and you're like, there it is. There's that voice. So I remember doing rehearsals, and we got through about 2 tunes, and maybe it was the end of Can't Get Enough or something. And I just got on the mic and I said, can I just say how fun this is right now? I'm having the best time doing this right now with you.
That's awesome.
It was just really brilliant. So
and also, you've got Melissa Etheridge, Chris Cornell that you've toured with. It's when someone calls you and says, we need Pete Thorn to come on tour, is it, I guess because you've been touring with all these artists and they just know it's going to be awesome. It's a safe pair of hands.
Well, sometimes it's a recommendation from a friend.
Right.
Brian Ray has been responsible directly for referring me for a few really cool gigs that I've gotten to do. So that's a big part of it. And actually, you asked me what my first touring gig was, and really the first full-fledged tour I did was with Adam Cohen way back in the late 90s, who was the son of Leonard Cohen. And Brian, that's where I met him, because he was Adam's musical director. He got the project off the ground and up and running, and then he basically handed over the guitar reins to me after that. But I went in and auditioned, and that was the first time I met Brian.
Right.
Was that day at that audition. And he kind of picked me, this is the guy, and then we became friends from that point on. And here I am all these years later just doing, it's literally like almost 25 years later, and he pulled me in on this gig with Paul so that's how it
amazing.
happens.
Okay.
But I'm still auditioning for things. I mean, you still go in and audition. You're never beyond that, I don't think. It happens a little more that somebody will call you and say, would you be interested? We think you're the guy for this, because, and YouTube helps with that.
Yeah, sure.
With or maybe sometimes hinders it, because somebody might watch you on YouTube and say, he's way too rock for this gig, or he's way, you never know. But
or he's a YouTube guy.
Or he's a YouTube guy.
Yeah, so we find that super interesting. Dan and I live our lives on YouTube a great deal, of course. And if you've discovered Pete through YouTube, which you may well have done, you might not know about this great history of being a professional guitar player for so long, which of course gives you everything that it gives you in order to be able to do what you do on YouTube so brilliantly well.
Thank you.
What's the headspace then? So given that you're currently in the middle of a tour, that seems to be, are you happiest when you're out playing, traveling?
We were speaking about this in the car as well. I need a mix of both. Like, during lockdown, it was like, okay, this is amazing. I can still work. And we all experienced that because everybody was watching YouTube. We had nothing else to do. And, we were all looking for entertainment. So there was a lot of going on into content creation and all that. And I felt so fortunate to have that. But by the same token, at the end of that period, where I was just like, I got to get out of this room by myself. Like, I need to get out of, and I know you guys must experience that as well, where it's like, this is amazing to be able to do this, but you need a little bit to get out and play a gig in front of people is like, right? And so I needed that. So, but by the same token, I like being home now too. So it's just about the life balance. That's what I think, a little bit of it, of all of it, because I love being home and working in the studio. And then once I've done that, especially for a year and a half with a lockdown, you're ready to go play again, So I still enjoy touring. I do.
Okay, here's a question. You get called up for this gig. Let's say you're playing with Paul Rodgers, can't get enough of your love. It's time for the guitar solo.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's Paul.
Yeah.
There's the crowd.
Yeah.
And then you step forward to do the solo.
Yeah.
What is it that you're leaning on, knowing that this is the time that I need to nail this?
Yeah.
What's that? What is it that gives you that confidence to go forward and nail it?
Well, I used to have a mantra that was like, don't suck now. Now's not the time to suck. Go. That was one.
Okay.
I also think about a few of my rock and roll spirit animals. One of them being Jack White in the last few number
nice.
years.
Okay.
I think is so sort of primitive, but yet rock and roll and just fearless in his approach.
Yeah.
So I think about that. If you're feeling timid, think about that attitude, and then you kind of try and take on that,
I like
embody that. But Jesse who was one of the singers in the classic rock show, the most eloquent, brilliant little piece of advice when it comes to that kind of confidence versus stage fright or whatever. Recently on my live stream, he just joined me because we were sharing a dressing room last Sunday, and he happened to be sitting there, and he came over and ended up sitting down, and we had a great live stream, and it was totally not planned. But I asked him almost the same question, like, that confidence thing, and what if you're, how do you, like, if you're going to do something difficult vocally, or how do you get that confidence so you don't back off and not? And he goes, if you're in that headspace, I think like it's almost coming from a selfish place of like, oh, I'm worried about me right now. I'm worried about me looking bad or my, like from an ego perspective.
Very, very good.
And he said, I'm more thinking about the audience. They've paid to come see the show, and how do I want to make them feel right now? How do I want to make them feel? And if you get in that, what do I want them to feel right now? And oh my God, I was like, dude, that's like...
This is heavy.
It's eloquent and beautiful way to say, like, put your... get out of your own thing. What do you want to make them feel? And it kind of tends to just come out through your hands at that point. Let's make
beautiful.
These people feel
That's
great
really
right
beautiful.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
wow.
So I was like, oh, thank you for that. I said, because it was so well said. And so I've actually been doing that recently. Like when I come to a solo, it's like, okay, what do I want to emote right now? What do I want to make these people feel like? And the way you then lean into a bend and slice your finger open or whatever is, but that's what it's all about. Yeah. And I was just like, I'm like, so thanks, Jesse, if you watch this. It was really cool. And anybody out there, try and put yourself in that headspace. What do I want to make these people feel right now?
That's great.
Play this solo.
Yeah.
I think also we have a different, each of us, whether you're just starting out on guitar or whether you're further along your journey or wherever you are, there's always a bedrock of kind of foundation, if you like, which at that point of release, you're leaning back on.
Yes.
But so you've done the work. Let's not gloss over that.
of course.
You're an extremely accomplished player, and you've done all that. Did you go to guitar school or anything like that? Or
well, I went to MI, and I did do a year there, and I took a lot of lessons, but mainly I sort of consider myself half self-taught, I guess. Mainly, like I'm still sort of a street player. I can't play jazz. I'm not like I'm mainly by ear and following my ear, really. Although if I'm playing a chord shape and I'm like, what are these notes? Okay, I can figure out what to call this. I've got enough theoretical knowledge, but it doesn't come instantly for me still. Right. Yeah. I'm a little bit more street rock guy. But yeah, in the moment, you're right. You fall back on that knowledge. the challenge is when you're you can play something a million times, and get it under your fingers so that the mechanics are there and that you know how to do it. The challenge is for a lot of people, I think, to turn off the voice in your head that can get in the way of that.
Yeah.
To where it just so you can just let that flow and it just happens. And that's an intangible, it's and so we try these different things to do that. But I love the concept, like I was just to hit on it again, of that, what do I want to make people feel right now?
Yeah.
Think that right before you go into the solo and try and, it's almost like a meditation, and then you're in the right zone, where you're getting out of your own way.
I love that. Fantastic advice.
When you're doing your pedal demos, and I mean, Mick and I talk about you a lot on the show, and we're saying, we get a pedal on, we're like, this is what we do with it. But if you want to hear it, go and watch Pete Thorn. Because,
Thank you.
You can get to the heart of what the manufacturers are trying to do with it, and you go the full range with it and get, a really epic, by the end of watching your video, you really understand what these things can do.
That's my goal. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's really fantastic, and we don't do that. We dick around going, that's.
But that's super cool too. What you guys do, exploring the full range is so valuable.
Yeah, it's more. It's sort of it's concepts and stuff that we talk about. But what I love, and I think we talked about this last time that we hooked up in Germany, is that you can turn on a pedal and you'll find something and you go, and this composition starts to form from the first hearing of that. But where does that come from?
I mean, I think it's just following your internal instinct, because I love writing,
Okay.
And so it's like, and the nice thing to me about writing music centered around a little bit of a parameter, which is a pedal sound or something, is that if you just sort of let that guide you a little bit, in the same way probably I can imagine the Edge would, or something when he gets a bunch of effects going, and I love we say, like, and it might get loud when he shows the is it for elevation or something, the sound that he's using, and he turns off all the effects and he goes, well, here's what I'm actually doing. but with all the effects it does a thing. That's like a great lesson into that, where you're just letting the tone guide you down a path of like, here's what I'm going to play. So that's
really
kinda,
really fantastic.
Like, let your ear just go with it and see, like what, I don't know if there's something.
If you grab something and
let's see if there's like a sound.
Create magic, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll see if I can come up with something.
Do I need to turn the Marshall on, or are we okay with?
Let's go with the clean sound, because maybe we'll try.
And not destroy your finger.
Yeah, and not destroy my finger. Exactly. We'll play something simple. Here's what we're doing: the Eagles song one of these nights. So I'll just show this really quick because I've got harmonies set up in the H90. So. But you need, because the harmony isn't totally diatonic all the way through.
Yeah, right.
I have 3 presets. That's how we do that. But let me see what else.
3 presets for 3 harmonies. How cool is that?
Yeah. Let's see. That's got the fuzz on, so I'm going to turn that off. So this is just a delay for another brick in the wall, right? But what if we did something else with that? I mean, it's a standard dotted 8 thing, so I don't know. Demo of a dotted 8th delay, let's say, that could be enough right there, and then you might play something else on top of that where it's like, doesn't really have to be that much more complex than that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find, you know. So,
I love that because the simplicity of the part lets the effect shine, and it gives melody, and it's memorable.
And you're hooked straight away. It feels like it's not a lick. You there's a bit of music. You're going, oh, okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah,
This
just keeping it simple and. Okay, the Eventide is a great because I don't know what's going to happen,
All right,
right?
great.
So it's like so. So if that's my preset, then I'm gonna get a, you know, that's gonna be the drums, right? And then we're gonna, you know, build something else on top of that, right? Empty universe. What's this gonna sound? What I do when I'm doing, especially for something like the Eventide,
yeah.
you just got to try the presets and then see what happens musically. You know, something along those lines, you know, and then I'll just come up with a melody on top of that and see where it goes.
But you must be like, because you're so familiar with what you're playing that you can be instinctive. Like you're not fumbling around. You're going there. You hear the sound of like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
I mean, I think. Okay, so it sounds like this. Yeah, I just think, okay, it's fuzz. It's kind of a monophonic with an octave on it. What are we going to do? Maybe something like that or whatever.
Right, that's
But,
fantastic.
Is there a Prince song that's got a massive octavey pitch shiftery bit as the intro? Big crazy bit of lead.
It was the theme to the Batman soundtrack.
Well, no, I think you're talking about When Doves Cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
reminded me of that.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
It's like a bit like a kind of a crazy Hendrix
Oh, we
sort of
bleeding
crazy
again?
lick. Sorry, I got a little
Too much
blood
rock.
going. You guys talk about something. Don't stop the cameras. Don't stop the camera.
Too much rock.
I'll be right back. So for those that have this issue, a split open finger, boots spray adhesive.
There'll be all the comments going, I can't believe you're making him play on. Just stop the video.
That's the job. We gotta work, for God's sakes. It's basically like spray crazy glue, and it seems to work for a little while
Yeah.
if you're like delicate enough about it. But
Stevie Ray used to use super glue, didn't he? I think.
he did,
I've
yeah.
heard it said.
And I have super glue, and I think it's going to be a super glue kind of night tonight.
I've only ever done it once. There is
Yeah, it works though.
There is a bit of old folklore that I don't know if it is true that that's one of the reasons it was invented.
Yes.
It was invented for the Vietnam War.
Well, that's what I heard, but I don't know if it's true or not. But
Apparently.
as a kind of
Yeah, I wonder if it's actually
reattacher of things.
Yeah.
I think if you had a tube of that, some gaffer tape,
Exactly.
that's it.
Done.
Leg off, no worries.
Andy, one of our, he's the PA tech out on this tour and doing sound on some of the shows. He said that he used to use some sort of like microfiber cloth, and he'd use a layer of super glue. This is for guitar players on the road.
Yeah.
And then he'd get the microfiber cloth with the super glue, and another layer of microfiber cloth and the super glue, and he'd build it up, and then it was fine. It was
I do have some microfiber cloth. If
You do?
Yeah, we have a fully fledged first aid kit here at that pedal show, so we can try it.
There we go.
Maybe I need to
There's a
take some of
video.
that.
Yeah, there's a video.
Maybe I need to take some for the road or whatever. And stuff, but for tonight, but that's
Pete,
disgusting.
tell us about the guitar then, without having to play it too hard, because this is a new model, right?
Oh yeah. So this is my new signature model that was released recently, and they're just getting out into the wild now, I think. Basically a hum single version of my previous guitar, but it's pretty different because my previous guitar had a mahogany body, mahogany neck, rosewood fingerboard. So all these woods are different. This is alder, maple, roasted maple, with an ebony board.
I was going to say, it's ebony.
wow.
Yeah.
I went with ebony for the look, just to be, because it was a total vein. I want it to be dark. I don't want it to be, because a lot of rosewood looks a lot lighter these days.
sure.
You know? And I liked with the darker colors and stuff. It just looked cool having and I thought, let's try it and see if it works. And lo and behold, it works great. I like it. So I don't even actually, I was like, am I gonna like ebony on a Strat style guitar? Because it's not common. It's fine. It's great. So the neck shape is a little different. It was taken off of another Suhr that I've had for many years, and John felt the guitar and he goes, "Oh, I think I shaped this neck." He goes, "I used to go into the shop on Saturdays and sometimes I'd hand sand necks because he goes, this is different than this feels like one of the ones that I did."
Right.
So it's got just a little bit of a subtle V down here, and then it's pretty much just a full C after that.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a little bigger than the neck on the previous guitar and a little fuller. Some people with my previous signature model, occasionally you come across people that said the neck felt slim to them. To me, I love it. It's a C Slim, I think it's called, the Suhr C Slim or something. And I was like, I was fine with it, but some people thought just a little small. And I thought, well, I like lots of different neck shapes, so let's try this one on this guitar. It's a little fuller and a slightly wider 1.687
Okay.
nut
Yeah,
instead of the 1.65.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we've got locking tuners on it, tusk nut, and the Wilkinson bridge with the lock saddles on it. So
Right.
you can get with the trim, and it'll come back nice. And it's got great tuning stability. Almost, I say it's like 90% of the way to a Floyd. With the lock saddles.
Is that a new Thornbucker, or is it just
Yes.
uncovered?
Yes, it is, and it's basically a Alnico 2 version of the Thornbucker pickup that's wound up to 9K. So slightly hot, on the hot end of PAF, 9K, but with our Thornbucker wind. So it's a little bit of a specific special wind, and Alnico 2 magnet in this pickup. So it's got a little bit of a warmer top end to it. That's really nice.
Yeah, people say Alnico 2 is a little softer, a little more forgiving. I don't know if that's true, but that's what you hear people say.
That's exactly how I would describe it.
Right.
Okay.
And with a little spongier bottom end, but through like an aggressive Marshall, it's cool.
Yeah, it's very
That's what you
cool.
want.
It's actually like a nice thing. And then the V63 singles. The switching is kind of what you would expect with combinations. This one splits and does
nice.
these two. And then I can also do a series parallel on the bridge. So it gets almost a quasi-single coil kind of thing.
Yeah.
You had that
with
on the
that.
last guitar.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the humbucker, then you had that clean sound. I was like, wow, really beautiful. Yeah.
It's nice, and
Really
it's
beautiful.
still hum canceling, and it's about the output of a single coil, but it's, it's still hum canceling, so it's great. It balances then perfect with the singles. Then you get that when you kick it in, the full series.
Do you like a treble bleed?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, and it's a standard Suhr. It's subtle. It's not like you get this crazy chime that comes in. as
Yes,
soon as
you don't hear. Sometimes when they're really aggressive, it can sound like almost like you add a buffer.
Yeah.
You get that really ice pick top. But funny enough, I've never been a fan of treble bleeds until we started using more cranked amps regularly on the show.
Yeah.
And it's like, at that point, it's almost a necessity for some amps, because it goes so dark with a vintage type pickup.
Yeah, it's too much to me sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't like it when it gets super dark. When I roll down, when I roll down, I kind of want some sparkle and some air to come in, so it's perfect. But really, it's just it's really almost linear, I think.
It's really good. It's really good.
It's a combination of cap and resistor that they use. That's this little sort of formula that they go with, and it seems to work well. So yeah,
nice.
So that's this guitar. And I love
Beautiful.
it. Yeah.
And I guess because you play so many different styles in the course of an evening, and if you had to just take one guitar, you need a guitar that's going to cover a lot of ground.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing with this. Is if I got to take one guitar in a gig or one guitar to a session, I can do it with this one instrument, And that's kind of what I did. I mean, we did a gig in Malta with this band earlier this year, and I've got 6 guitars out right now. But if I've got to do it on one, we just tweak the set list a little bit so that we can do a show on one guitar, essentially, in one tuning. And I can do the whole thing on this guitar and get like a ton of range.
So how does that work then with the pressure of, or at least the expectation of doing some of those classic rock songs? Are there some songs you just have to play a Les Paul for, or you have to play a whatever for?
Yeah. I mean, like, for sure. Like, it feels right to just use it on certain tunes. There's some stuff. I mean, we do Black Dog.
Yeah.
It's like it just feels right to play it on a Les Paul live. It's even though maybe he did it on a telly, the studios, who knows, right? But live, you'd see a Les Paul, and so visually, it just kind of you'd think Led Zeppelin, It's like got to do that. So, but if I had to play it on this guitar, 100%, it's great, and nobody will go home and complain, and hopefully about he played it on a.
Well, I would obviously, but
you would. yeah, the internet would.
Dear Mr. Thorn, I thought your guitar continuity was truly terrible.
Yeah, there'd be a thread on the gear page. What was he thinking?
What was he thinking?
I love the gear page, by the way. Kudos to the gear page because they've been able to run a forum all these years.
Yeah.
At times, to me, I've even complained because I feel like it's like a little stringent or strict, but you know what? It's worked.
Yeah.
Their formula has worked.
I think people in our position, as it were, who are sometimes on the end of a bit of ire from forums such as that, and the gear page in particular, it's easy sometimes to go, forums.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you how many times I've Googled something that I don't know.
And it's on
the gear page.
And I've ended up there.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I've got a very useful and relevant answer.
Yeah.
It's a great resource. If I've done the same thing for like settings on my Mobius for a certain thing. I wonder if somebody's already figured this out. What's the great flanger setting for this song? And I'll go and there's some guy that's figured it out. And it's like, thank you, It's such a great resource for so many things. So
speaking of flanger settings, so
Dan's little bell's gone off.
yeah. One of the clips I saw floating around on the tube was in the Classic Rock Show. You doing is it Panama or Hot for Teacher?
We did Hot for Teacher last year.
Right. So it must have been that one.
Yeah.
And it was like it's the closest I've heard to anyone actually doing it live. It was awesome.
Oh, thanks.
What are the classic Van Halen flangers then? Is it Ain't Talking About Love? Is that a flanger or is that a...
yes, on the... which I've actually got a really good EVH flanger.
Is there one in Hot for Teacher, a flanger?
There's not. But there is a little bit of micro pitch from the Eventide.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have that going in the front?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Eddie Flanger was always in the front because everything was always in the front basically back then. But the one song is.
Can you please play it wrong, Pete? So we don't get stung for copyright.
I don't want to bust your finger anymore.
No.
Oh no, that's okay.
Please do it.
Well, I'll show you the one that I've got. Here's a sound that I did for Barracuda.
Do we need the Marshall?
This is going to be the Marshall, yeah. Because we do Barracuda, which is another classic flanger song, Right? And so that's a subtle flange coming out of the Mobius. But if I go here, this is my EVH flanger preset. So we gotta go. You have to turn it off, and then you gotta turn it on right at the right point, which is on the. So that would be that, right?
Van Halen estate, just take all our money.
Subtle bleeding.
Okay, like you can't play anymore, Pete, because we're going to completely ruin your gig tonight.
No. It's not you guys. It's okay.
It's very cool.
But that is a pretty good approximation, I think, of the EVH flanger. I sat there 1-to-1 with my tech on a Melissa Etheridge tour. I remember we went back and forth between the two, and I was trying to nail that flanger sound with the EVH flanger and this. And we got it so close where it was like, we were both like, yeah, that's pretty much there.
Yeah, especially when you get up to patent pending and everything's hammering. It's like I'm just going to say again, I'm so heartened that there are cranked amps on a theatre tour, because that kind of thing, and you know, not being negative towards the other approach, but to keep that, especially in something that celebrates classic rock in this way.
Yeah, it's part of it.
To hear it and feel it and to do all that, I think it's really important. It's almost service at this point, I think.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, we're like curators or something of a thing that if we're not careful, it'll just go away, because, you know, it's always a battle, like trying to talk folks into the amps, you know, the convenience of modern devices. Rick Beato said it great. I said to him a while ago, what happened with, like, you know, this, like, rock? And he goes, at some point rock became about convenience.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, Rick, that's really good. You know, it's a sad thing, because it's not convenient to hump around a 412 in the back of your car and to play loud and do all that stuff but it's part of the sound. So I said with this thing, I said, I don't want to do a sanitized, you know, version.
If you're going to do it, do it.
Like, I don't want to do the, you know, quiet stage, got to play with a modeler casino thing or whatever and do the classic rock show. I'm like, and I keep pushing actually for more backline. Like, I'm like, we should both have like half stacks, and there should be 2 SVTs, one on either side of the drum kit. And, you know, Henry's actually been talking the keyboard player, a little bit about like wanting a real Leslie and stuff. And I'm like, dude, it's like so wonderful. Like a real Leslie cabinet on a stage is such a wonderful sound. It just warms the whole stage when the organ's going on.
We were at Soundcheck with Joe Bonamassa at the Royal Albert Hall.
Oh, cool.
And his
Reese Winans.
Legendary keyboard player, 2 Leslies on stage. And he just comes up and Mick and I were just like, we're done. That's it.
The 2 Leslies.
It doesn't get better.
It's just the whole stage is rotating. It's
just
amazing.
magic. And you can it brings them to life on stage. You know. And Joe's out there and he hears that and it's like, you can see how inspiring. I mean, not just to have Reese on stage, because he's, you know, having a legend like that brings a weight to that. Yeah. But the force that he brings with that sound, and everyone just goes whoa and just comes up to it.
I remember I got the great honor and chance to play with Government Mule way back in like 2008. I did a set of music with them on New Year's Eve. It was so much fun, where we played a set of Seattle music. Like, it was all Soundgarden and Nirvana and Temple of the Dog and Alice in Chains. It was so much fun, because they do those theme sets sometimes in their shows. So we did I didn't know that. It's fun. There's some of it on YouTube. It was it was New Year's 2008, so going into 2009, and it was so much fun. And just playing with them, because they've got the 2 Leslies on the 2 cabinets, one on either side of the stage. And I was like, oh God, this stage feels so good. The thing about that was a good lesson in Volume 2, playing with them, because they've got 100-watt amps up there and they play good and loud, but they're so dynamic. So they come way down. You know, with the volumes on the guitars. And I do that too. I mean, I play like quiet, you know, sometimes I got my volume on 1.
But what's interesting is I'm watching your right hand, and you've got this thing with your dynamics where you do an accent in a phrase. Yeah. And it's like, and it goes pop, and it's like, oh, okay. It's because you're so used to playing with dynamics that you know when to punch a note in, and you know how to set up an amplifier so that when you dig in, it just doesn't flab out. It still punches through.
You can't have too much dirt. Yeah, that's why the Marshall on, you know, the interesting thing about a Marshall like this, there's a bright cap on it, right? And it's like when you back it down to about 7, it's like
back it down to 7.
You know, it's like right there is the point.
Where
and you hear the cap working, and it's got the punch then, but it's still got enough juice that it'll feed back.
Yeah.
And that stuff. So you go beyond a thing, and then it's just, and now you've hit a dynamic, where it's like almost square waving.
Yeah.
The distortion and all that.
But that
Yeah,
dynamic
it's too,
thing.
yeah. Too much when it's absolutely flat.
Yeah, can be, Because even Eddie played, he'd use it famously on 10, but I think he backed it down sometimes. And his volume wasn't always on 10. When you hear him play, when you hear him play in, Van Halen 2, you hear him rolling up and down constantly on the guitar. I mean, on Somebody Get Me a Doctor, or even on, we don't have the Marshall on, but can I do one more thing?
Yeah.
Yes, you can.
Please don't bleed too much.
I'll try not to. Yeah. So when he plays. Right, and he's down like probably on like 5, on the guitar there, and then he's constantly. And then then he's up on 10. But that constant up and down on there, is the or you could use the on the neck pickup and then. That was his V. He uses 58V on that.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 58V on that song. Yeah, because there's no whammy bar in the whole tune, So it was that old V, and just with the volume on, like there's no channel switching or anything.
Yeah, I mean you can hear that. I didn't realize it was a V, but you can hear that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, the volume.
Best clean sound in the world, right?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, so cool.
You were friends with Eddie?
I got to know Eddie around 2009 and late 2008 or early 2009, something like that. And he was he was really kind and sweet to me, and
so lovely, so beautiful.
Heck of a guy.
Yeah.
It was a good.
I loved Wolf's performance there recently with the Taylor
Hawkins
thing.
Yeah, it's great.
Far
right?
out,
he was
man.
awesome.
I had no idea. I'd only ever seen him play bass, and then he comes out and does that. I'm like, oh my God, he's amazing.
Have you seen him play drums?
No.
Oh, get out.
Drums is his number one instrument. He started on drums, I think. And he told me once, he said,
Uncle Alex, can I grab?
Yeah, he said, he goes, I wish I could actually play drums about him. My uncle's the drummer, so that's not going to happen. But yeah, he's a ripping drummer. I mean, he plays everything on this last record.
Right.
He's playing everything on the new one too. So he's something else. But yeah, he's just a super musical guy. I think he had a lot to do with these past tours and stuff, curating the set list and this and this and this, and then he was a little bit like, as I understand it, almost like serving. I don't know this 100%, but I think almost musical director quasi.
Okay.
Let's do this and this and this and learn this, and he's something else. So he's carrying on the Van Halen legacy.
Do you ever get on stage when you're playing with these people and just have a moment where you go, shit? Do you ever do that? Ever hit you like
where you're playing with somebody?
This is my life. This is what I do. Does it ever just go, what?
Yeah, it does. I used to play with Don Henley for a number of years, and master lyricist and incredible talent that he was. And there was a moment in I played very little in the song Sunset. Not Sunset Grill. This song New York Minute.
Oh, I love that.
It's such a beautiful song.
He wrote some tunes, didn't he? I mean,
the lyrics.
Post Eagles stuff, unbelievable.
And so in New York Minute, I used to just get to stand there in the dark, kind of, because he was in the spotlight in the middle of the stage singing, and it's this melancholy tune and these incredible lyrics, and I'd almost forget to come in sometimes in the chorus because it's like I was at the show.
Yeah, right.
I'm like just watching him sing, but he's right there, and he's singing, and I'm just listening to the lyrics and like. And for some reason, that was like the song, I guess just because I had the time to really tune into what he was doing and go like, this is really cool right now. Like I'm on stage with this guy and he's delivering that. I remember hearing the song when I was a kid, like growing up. And yeah, I have those moments where it's
That's
like,
wonderful.
Okay, I grew up hearing this. And now I get to do it with it's magic. But the thing is, if you spend enough time in this game and practice and work hard and you do it for the right reasons, you just kind of will naturally end up there too. I truly believe that. Like anybody watching this, especially like younger kids and stuff, if this is what you want to do, you just kind of have to stick around long enough and work really hard, and you'll be there. You'll end up in the room with your heroes, or with or you'll be someone's hero because you'll get there when you're 20 or 21
beautiful.
or 25. You just have to be in it for the right reasons and work hard. And that's how it works. And it sounds naive almost, but it worked for me. I mean, I just stuck around long enough and just worked hard. I'm not like the greatest guitar player in the world or anything. I'm not like I love it so much that I stayed in the game and I just stuck around. And it's like, you just end up being, you follow to the place, you go to the city where it is, and you work your way through this maze of whatever, and making no money for a while, and then you just somehow you'll find an opportunity if your heart's in the right place, and if you work hard to be in that position. It just happens. Like it can happen if you just it's like anything else. If you want to be an astronaut, as long as you're physically fit and you know what I mean? Like you want to be a pilot, or you want to be, you just do the steps. So it might be a little more ambiguous playing rock guitar, like what to do exactly. But
that kind of, also, I guess, not being too bitter if it takes you in a different direction. So because you're in it for today, you're in it for this part of your journey that you're making. And like you say, the right reasons, which one could interpret to be any kind of reason, but I think integrity in the music, being true to what you believe as a player, and trying to have the right amount of compromise to not get fired for every gig, but not so much compromise that you get rolled over the whole time.
Right.
And that, I guess, just following it and being true to it. I find that truly inspiring, Pete, and thank you for saying that.
Absolutely, yeah, 100%. Yeah, thanks. I really believe it's true, and just getting jazz. We're sitting here getting jazz off feedback and stuff, but that's the stuff.
That's the stuff.
Where if you do that and you're in the room and you're in the audition and you make it happen and you're like, yeah, there it is, and the artist is like, that guy's got it. Like he understands what's cool. That's all you got to do,
Mr. Thorn, this is the Carpenters.
Right. But yeah, it's a funny road, but we all. I mean, look at this room, you guys get it. You guys are like you're right in the zone, right?
Well, it is when someone comes in and plugs into a Marshall and says, "Can we turn it up to here?" And we're like, "Yes, you
please.
can."
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what gets you in the feels, isn't it?
Yeah, it's magic.
All right, I think we, Pete, we'd love to come and visit you in LA someday and see all of that and how you do stuff. It's a bit, you see it on the YouTube the whole time, and it's like, I'd love to see that in person.
It's not as fancy as your setup here, I promise. You guys they've got an amazing scene going here. It's really awesome. But yeah, you're welcome anytime. And I know you'll be over at NAMM time, so maybe we'll see you then next. And we'll make it years next time. Right?
Yeah,
make it months.
Yeah.
Let's see if then the three of us. Let's see if we can all get together. And I'd also love to, because there's the series of videos that you did with Tim Pierce.
Yes, yeah.
And and I'm a massive Crowley House fan. We interviewed Neil Finn last year and went through his rig and stuff. And he's one of my heroes. And the work that Tim's done, it's on the original album. And I mean, he's played with everyone. And so it'd be great to hang out with you and Tim, and
Love that.
and it'd be awesome.
It would.
Yeah.
That's tantalising. So we could stay talking for hours to Pete about all kinds of stuff. We would love him to play more, but I really, really don't want to wreck his gig tonight. So we better.
Thanks for dealing with my.
We better give you a few hours to let that heal a bit more. And
I'm going to build it up. I think it's a crazy glue kind of night.
You got a day off tomorrow?
I got a day off tomorrow. Okay. And then we just have London shows. That's all. I got to deal with this song. It'll be all right, though. I'll use two fingers like Django did.
There you go.
Right?
There you go.
Yeah, I'll figure out a way to. Yeah.
So look, check out Pete Thorn on YouTube. Also, theclassicrockshow.com, because we're going to get this video out while the guys are still doing dates. So if you're in the UK, hit up that website, classicrockshow.com, and check out the dates and go see a show and hear some fantastic rock guitar and singing.
Would love that.
Amazing.
Thank you for saying
Thank
that.
you so much, man.
Happy
Thank you
days.
for coming
Pete,
down. We
thanks so
really
much for
appreciate it.
My pleasure. Always great to see you guys.
You too, man.
Thanks, you guys.